Okay guys, so what we're going to do today is we're going to learn how to draw a face map, which is going to help us understand how to break up the different parts of a face. So I want to start with simple shapes, and most of what I use is going to be simple shapes. I've got my paper turned the wide way. It might help you if you turn it the tall way, but because of the way I'm shooting the video, it looks better on screen if I do it wide. So that's why I've got it set up this way. Do whatever is more comfortable for you. What you do want to do is make sure you follow two rules. Okay, number one, draw big. Number two, draw lightly. All right, we're going to do a bit of erasing so you'll see what I mean. So what I want to do first, I'm going to make this shape of a head, a human head or a human face. So I've got a regular high grip, kind of pressing down really lightly. And I'm just going to go around and make a circle. Okay, that's what I want to do, is get myself a good circle on the paper. Now from that, I'm going to go to each side. Okay, now I'm using sketchy lines because everything doesn't have to be really detailed at this point. So you'll see me later on change some of this stuff up. I want to go to the sides, the left and right sides of my circle, and I'm going to start making a curved line, okay, that kind of goes down. Now what I'm doing here is I'm creating a shadow, not a shadow, I'm creating a shape that's going to kind of look like an egg or maybe an oval almost, but I definitely want the top part wider than the bottom, okay? So this is going to work as a face shape, and it's going to be where the top of the circle is going to be the top of the head, and the bottom curve here, that's going to be the chin area, all right? So I'm going to kind of fix this up real quick, go back around it with a couple of sketchy lines. I got my circle in already, but now I want to kind of make sure that these things are touching here where the circle and the other shape touches, and just kind of define my shape a little bit more, okay? Remember, don't press down too hard. You don't want to draw too dark with this to begin with. The more you go around the lines, the darker they'll get, okay? So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to split my shape up into halves. The first thing I want to do is make a vertical line that goes from the top to the bottom of my shape. Now I'm going to make it about halfway across. You'll notice that what happens is we're going to make that halfway mark, those lines like I'm doing now, several times throughout this drawing. Okay, so it doesn't have to be super straight. I still got a very high grip, so I'm pressing down lightly with my pencil, and I'm just going back and forth over that line a few times. Now, I made a vertical line straight up and down on the halfway point of my shape, okay? Now what I'm going to do, I want to go about halfway from top to bottom, and I'm going to make a line that goes across, side to side, horizontal. So if I look at my shape, about that area right in there is the halfway point. It's okay if it's a little bit low or if it's a little bit high. That'll be fine because, like I said, it doesn't have to be exact right now. We're just making a face map. So we're just trying to lay out all the different parts. So I went halfway this way and I split my shape up into two parts. I went down halfway this way and I split my shape up into four parts. So what you're going to have is you want these four sections of that face shape. So it's going to look like you got a cross in the middle of your shape. That's what you want, okay? Now, this line right here that I just drew, I'm going to make a note on the side of my paper. You don't have to do this on yours, but it might help you, so if you want to, go for it. This is going to be my eye line, okay? So right here is where I'm going to end up drawing my eyes on my face. I'll do that a little bit later. I got to get everything else set up first. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to start from the eye line here, and I'm going to kind of move down halfway, and I'm going to make an area for where the nose is going to be. But check this out. If you notice, the bottom of that circle is about halfway in between there and there. Okay? So the bottom of that circle is going to be a pretty good area for you to make that next line. And what I'm going to do here is just go side to side. I want to make a light line like that. Now this, I'm going to put my note off to the side so you guys can see it, okay? This is going to be my nose line. So this is where I'm going to go in and start drawing in my shapes when I make my nose for this face. Now, once again, I'm going to split up part of the face in half. I want to go from my nose line down to the bottom of the chin, okay? So from here to the bottom of the chin, the bottom of the shape, about halfway, and I'm gonna make another line. Now I'm gonna keep this one kind of small right now, about like my nose line is. This is gonna be the mouth line. So I'm gonna label it once again. This is where my mouth is gonna go, the mouth line, okay? So now what I've done, remember, I've got that line going vertical to split it in half. I've got the line going horizontal to split the shape in half. That created my eye line. Then I went halfway from the eye line to the chin, created another horizontal line. That's my nose line. Then I went from the nose line to the chin about halfway, and I created another horizontal line where I'm gonna draw the mouth. Okay, now I'm gonna do the facial features piece by piece and show you how this works. So my next move is I want to go up here to where the eyes are gonna be, okay? Now once again, we're gonna use that halfway measurement. I'm gonna look at this section right here from the center to the left side. If I go about halfway, that's gonna put me somewhere in here. Now what I want to do very lightly is just give myself a little mark, just a little line up and down that crosses over there, okay? Then I'm gonna do the same thing from the center to the right side, about halfway, and I'm gonna give myself another line. So this is where I'm gonna build my eyes now. Now for the eyes, we're gonna keep it real simple. We're not gonna put a lot of detail in them today. We don't need to. You'll do that on another part of the assignment. What we're gonna do now is we're just gonna make like a little curved line, okay? I'm gonna do that at the top of the eye line and then again at the bottom of the eye line. So I want to make really kind of like a little football shape is what I want to do, all right? I'm gonna do the same thing on both sides. So when I make this, I'll just make that curved shape, one at the top, one at the bottom. Now, I always make a mistake when I do this, so if you make a mistake, don't worry, I'll show you how to fix it. So the eyes look a little bit off. I want to measure them, so I'm going to do an artist trick and use my pencil and my fingers to measure, okay? So what I want to do is take a pinch grip on the pencil. So you see my fingers pinching it? Well, what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the end of the eraser here, and I'm going to use that pinch grip, and I'm going to measure this first eye I drew. I want both of the eyes to be about the same size. So if I lay it down, I'm going to try to set it up where you guys can see it pretty good on video. You see that the corner of my eye is about where the end of the eraser is. I'm going to slide it over just a little bit. And then I want to take that pinch grip right here where the end of the other part of the eye is. So if I hold it up, you can see that the eye is about as wide from the end of the eraser to where I have my pinch grip. So then I'm just going to compare. I'm going to go over here and lay it on the other side. And I'm actually not too far off, okay? So I'm going to switch it up just a little bit. You can see that this is a little bit shorter on this eye than the other one is. So I'm going to switch it just a little bit, move my pencil up, and I'm just going to kind of go through and just extend it just a little bit. That's all I want to do. Remember, it does not have to be exact. Now, when I got those two football shapes here, next thing I want to do, I'm going to keep it simple. I'm just going to go in here and do a circle. And I can color it in all black, or excuse me, not really black. This is gray. I'm going to color it in all gray if I want to. It's fine. I'm just showing where the eyeball would be. Now, once again, we're not doing a whole lot of detail here. We're just laying things out. My next move is to go slightly above each eye. And remember, I've got a middle or high grip. I want to draw lightly here. And I'm just going to go over and put another curve there. Now, this is going to represent the eyebrow. Very simple line. I'm not going to go crazy with details, and I'm just going to kind of do a curve. Now this is going to help me in a few minutes, and you'll see why. But what I've got now is I've got two eyes kind of shaped very simply, set up in proportion and in the correct area of where they would be on the face. So now I move down to my nose line, okay? Now the nose is really easy to do. There's a lot of different ways to do this, but I've found that if you use a couple of triangles, it works best. So what I want to do is start in that area right there where those two lines cross over. And I'm going to make a tall triangle, or this is just going to be a diagonal line right here, but this is going to be the first part of my triangle. I'm going to let it come down, and it's going to touch that nose line. Then I'm going to go back up on the opposite side. This is on the left. Now I'm going to do the right side, and I'm going to let my diagonal line come down again. So look what happens. It makes a tall, skinny triangle, kind of like a slice of pizza. That's what I wanted to do, okay? Now this is going to be the top part of my nose where the bridge and the bony part of my nose is. I want to go under here now because this line will kind of be the very tip of my nose. I want to go under here and I'm going to do this, something similar, but what I'm going to do is make sure these triangles are shorter. So check this out. Over on the left, I'm going to draw a little short diagonal line there, and it stops when it touches that center line. And then I go over here on the right, I'm gonna do the exact same thing. So that now I create another triangle. So I always like to use food references because I like to eat, man, I like snacks. This pizza slice right here, this tall triangle, pizza slice, that short triangle, I usually call it a nacho. All right, so we got a pizza and a nacho right here. Now, I'm not done with it. I just got to do two more simple things. I like to use brackets, kind of like how you would use for those greater than or less than symbols in math. This is really easy. So I go to where my nose line is there, and I'll come over on the left-hand side, and I'll make a bracket here so that the point of the bracket is right on that line. And I'll do the same thing over here. So I got those greater than and less than symbols happening right here. This makes the nostrils the side parts of my nose, okay? Now all I do is I'll go to the very bottom here and here on each side, and I'll just kind of make like a little curve, something simple like that. All right, if I make a big curve, it's going to look like I got big nostril holes. If I make a small curve, it's going to look smaller. So you can draw it the way you want. All right, so now that makes a pretty decent nose shape, and I'm going to leave it like that for now, and I'll show you how to clean it up a little bit later on. Okay, now I move down. My next move is going down here to the mouth, and this is really simple. We want to make sure that our mouth line is measured the correct width. So a good way to do that is you go from the center of the eye, and I'm gonna draw a couple of lines here. It's gonna kind of look like my face is crying. I always think about that when I'm drawing it. But really, this is gonna help us get the width of our mouth, okay? Now notice the eye was halfway between here and here on both sides, okay? So is this line. Now the edges of my mouth, the corners of my mouth, they don't need to go any further than these two lines here on the left and right. So I'm just going to kind of extend it a little bit further. I'm not going to make it really wide. I'm actually going to make it where it doesn't touch. I want to leave a little bit of space, okay? And then on the edges of the mouth, the corners, I can just put a few little like parentheses or something. And I'll go back in and just kind of trace out, kind of curve that a little bit. My face looks kind of like they're just chilling. They're not happy, they're not sad, they're just like, just there. So that's the mouth and the mouth lines and stuff, okay? And my next move is I like to just go right under the center here and just do a small little contour line. And that just shows the bottom area of the lip as it's near the chin. So I've got my eyes, I've got my nose, I've got my mouth. Now my next move is to go in, I'm gonna start working on the ears on both sides. Now we've already kind of prepared for that in advance and set up the exact place where we put our ears, okay? So what we want to do is we want to go to that area in between the top of the eye and where we drew the eyebrow, that little space right in there. If I go off to the side, about right there, just above the eye line, okay, I make a small line. I'll do that on both sides just to kind of make sure I'm in the right spot. So just above the eye line, I made a little line here and over here, just above the eye line, okay? That's going to be the top of my ear. Now, using a measurement, and this is really easy to remember, I want to show a line where the bottom of my ear would be. Now, typically for most people, the bottom of our ear, to keep everything in proportion, to keep everything in the right size relationship, we want the bottom of the ear to go no lower than the nose, okay? So either the tip of the nose here or the bottom of the nose here. Now, I will tell you, I'm going to use my nose line. I will tell you that sometimes this looks a bit strange, and we'll see because you might be able to see it on how this drawing turns out. So if the ear looks really big, now when I'm drawing my ear, I'm just going to do a simple curve that's kind of fatter at the top, and it gets skinnier as it attaches to the head at the bottom. See, it's kind of poofing out right here, and then it's kind of gets a little bit skinnier down at the bottom. Now that one doesn't look so bad. But sometimes when you draw ears, they'll look really, really long, like maybe they go down too far. And if you have a drawing that does that, and it's kind of weird because these actually look okay right now, so I'm going to leave them. But if it looks like it goes down too low at the bottom of your ears, just erase this line and move it up a little bit. I always like to move the bottom line up because it looks easy, or it looks better and it works easier. If you move the top line down, a lot of time it looks really crazy. So always adjust the bottom line if you need to. Now, it just so happened that I don't have to adjust these, so I'm going to leave them. To finish off the ears, we just want to put a couple of small curved lines similar to what we did in the nose here. So I'm going to go up to the top and I'm going to go where it attaches to the face, and I'm just going to make a small curve there. That's for that piece of cartilage that is at the top of your ear. It kind of folds over. I'm going to do it on both sides. Then I'm gonna go down here at the bottom where our earlobes are, the inner lobe part of your ear, and I'm gonna just put another curve, and this kind of looks like a fish hook or a question mark, just to kind of show how stuff goes. And then I'll drop another curved line right on the inside there, very slight curve, similar to what I did here in the eyebrow, okay? Now, as it goes down, you see it starts looking like smaller details. So at this point, I'm gonna go through and I'm gonna start erasing some of the lines in the nose so you can see how this is built up, okay? So I might wanna go in here and curve that area off where we have those greater than or less than brackets so that it's more rounded and less pointy. And then I'll probably do the same thing in here. I'll just round that off so it doesn't look so sharp. It's really up to you. And now I'm gonna take out a couple of these extra lines on the triangle, that pizza slice that we had, because I don't really need them anymore. And it's gonna work out like this right here. So as this happens, you see, well, I'm just erasing the lines. It's really easy to tell now. I have a good nose shape, and I can even go in there and do this. I can pop a small curve at the top just to kind of show a little bit of contour. I can even take off part of that up at the top there and leave that small line. Really up to you. Now my next move is I'm going to do the neck. So what I want to do for the neck is I want to go here on this side and here on this side. Remember, that halfway measurement is what we're going to be using most of the time. I want to use the edge of the face and the corner of the eye, and I want to go halfway in between, which is going to be about right in there, okay? So what I'm going to do now is make a neckline. So I like to let my pencil very lightly touch my paper, and then as it goes off the face, it kind of lines up, and that's going to give me the neckline on the left side. I'll do the same thing on the right. So I'm going to go from the corner of the eye to the edge of the face about halfway, and as it goes down, look at there. I got a good, decent neckline, okay? It's not going to be perfect, but it'll be close enough. That's all we're looking for at this point. Now, my next move, I've got the eyes, the nose, the mouth. I got my ears set in. I just set in the neck. This dude's head's cold because he's bald, okay? We're going to give him a little bit of hair. Now, here's how this works. The hairline is going to be, it's going to start the same whether you're drawing a male or a female, okay? I happen to be drawing a male character here, so we're going to keep it simple here. We want to, once again, use that halfway measurement, okay? So I'm going to go from the top of the head. Now, this is the top of the head. There is no hair yet, so this guy's bald, so this is like the top of his skull, just a little bit of skin up there. So I'm going from the top here, and I'm going to go down to where the center of the face is, which is on my eye line. That distance between there and there, top of the head and the eye line. I'm going to go about halfway, and I'm going to give myself a light horizontal line that goes side to side. Remember, it doesn't have to be super straight because we're just sketching at this point. I'm going to give myself a line going across this way, and now that's going to be where the hair is going to be hanging over the forehead, okay? So what I want to do is I'm going to actually angle it down. So on the left side, I'm going to have a diagonal line that angles down to the left. On the right side, I'm going to make a diagonal line that angles down to the right. Now when I do that, it's going to kind of go down to where it almost touches the side of the face, but I'm going to stop because now I want to go straight down so that I can create the sideburn area where the hair will be like right there by our ears. So you can see now the way that shape is set up with the hairline in there, it kind of makes it look like this guy might have a short haircut, like he's got a buzz cut or something. But I'm going to show you how to use shape to add to the lines here and create like a more poofy type of haircut. Now, you can really do the hairstyle any way you want. It's all about practicing and playing around with it. So I'm gonna kind of have my hairline going this way, and then I'm gonna have the hair kind of poofing up really big out here. So I want it to kind of be like wavy, and it's gonna go off the page because this dude's gonna have like really thick wavy hair. So I'm gonna go here and I'm gonna come over the edge of the ear and I'm gonna do the same thing. And once again, I'm not drawing super heavy. I'm just going kind of light, okay? So this guy's hair is so poofy, it's going all the way off the top of the page. So I need to check out the hairline here now. I don't want it straight across. That's gonna look crazy. So what I'm gonna do is just kind of go through there and I'm gonna give him a little bit of waves like that right there, a few easy curves. And now comes the cool part. I start erasing these extra lines that I have inside my face. And what you're gonna see, you'll see that it starts really kind of coming together. So as this works, the guidelines, all of those original guidelines that I made, they now go away, okay? And I'm left with the shapes and the facial features that I drew in. Now, I'm gonna do this kind of quick because I realize that the video is going on for a while. I want to be able to show you guys how this looks. Now, once again, we didn't do a whole lot of detail, guys. This is very simple, very easy, just using simple shapes. And we're not really trying to make it look realistic at this point. All we're trying to do is get a general idea of how the face would work. So now after I cleaned up some of my guidelines, I can go back in and start putting a little bit more pressure now because my shapes are drawn in correctly. I've got everything fairly proportionate. So I can go in here and start really kind of playing around and showing just a bit more detail if I want. I could go into the hair, I could add some shading, I could do some value on the nose and on the ears, the side of the neck, different things. So this is just a basic face map on how to lay out the facial features and proportions. So I hope you guys got some enjoyment and information out of this, and use this in your practice because it'll really help you.